Hey! Welcome to Salty Saturday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I am Donde, and I'm excited to be here tonight with the man, the myth, the top 100 player, Icicles. What's happening, man?
Yeah, I think you got your information wrong. I am no longer top 100, but that's okay. I appreciate the enthusiasm. So,
Once
and
you're top
definitely
100, you are
enthusiastic.
always top 100. That's what matters.
Is that how that works? Okay,
That's
great,
that's how it works to me, anyway.
perfect.
Well, how are you doing tonight?
Good. I'm excited about these matches. We got a pretty hype match, grudge match of all grudge matches in THL between JR and his longtime nemesis Yellowdart,
We
followed
sure
by a
do.
pretty good matchup in pink in the pro conference between AgentPWE and MrPython. So should be
Yeah,
some good Hearthstone.
Yeah, two awesome Conquest matches tonight. As you mentioned, one in Legacy, one in Pro, and these are week one for both of those series. We were here last week with Hero, which is moving into week two this season. But yeah, just we're all getting used to the staggered starts. A little bit different of a feel for THL this season. But as you can see, Yellowdart, JR, they are our first match tonight. Classes at the bottom of the screen are the same for both of them. Paladin, Rogue, Shaman, Warrior. A mirror match in this post-nerf meta, which only lasted, what, 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks of the expansion before they nerfed everything. So I don't know. My brain is gone as far as terms of time this year is concerned. But this is nice to have the nerfs be before the THL season starts in Conquest, so that way everybody kind of starts on equal footing. Icicles, do you expect that we will see the same four archetypes here, and what you think might be the bans?
So I think the bans are most likely going to be a double shaman ban. I think it's been pretty consistent with this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we had called out in my team and across THL is Paladin, Rogue, Shaman, Warrior being probably the most common bring. But it does leave some flexibility in the lineups. Warrior, for example, could be anything. You do expect Evolve Shaman when Shaman's brought, but we don't expect to see it. There's two variants of Rogue between Secret and World Kick. Even that has some variation between how aggressive you want to be. And Paladin also has two pretty viable archetypes in Broom and Pure. So definitely some potential for different decks being brought. And I'm curious to see how these players are approaching this particular lineup.
Yeah, I do like the fact that there are definitely flexibility points, even within, like you said, within the archetypes themselves. Like World Kick does have the different builds. World Kick is a great card for that value game that Rogue has sometimes lacked a little bit outside of like Galakrond with like the really high end cards. The Highlander in particular does good with value, but not as common an archetype as you've seen from the last two metas. But we do have confirmation that you were entirely correct. It's a double shaman ban, so that is not surprising anybody. So no evolve shenanigans tonight, at least not in match one anyway. So we'll go ahead and get that represented on the screen here. But knowing what we know, I don't think this is going to really change any of your analysis, will it, there, Icicles?
No, I think that's kind of what we expected. In this context, you probably expect Broom Paladin, you'd probably expect Secret Rogue, and Warrior. Who knows? It's just typically people bring the Warrior that beats the other Warrior. So right now that might be Bomb. Some people might feel better on Control. It really could be anything. So it probably depends on the comfort level of the players more so than the stats, I'd say.
All right. Well, let's see what they do here. This is a big match for DadLegend. Well, it's a big match for both teams tonight because Yellowdart and DadLegend can seal the week. They're up 8-3 right now over Illidan's Death Knights. That's JRJuggerLaw's team, and that's right now Honest Zabe with a win over Plants. Your Mumkid with a win over Skittles for DadLegend. That's pretty big to start the season. Silver's going to be a competitive conference, and we're not seeing anybody looking like they're going to sweep this week. Just kind of going down the list. So, a sweep for DadLegend could easily put them in pole position to start this season, which would be very, very huge. But Illidan's Death Knights don't want to fall too far behind. So let's let these players run and get into the match here. We will have Yellowdart on the bottom of your screen when we start it up.
It's good. And I might expect that the Rogue, at least one of the players starts with it. It seems to be the class right now that is challenging Shaman for being the best class right now. If it wasn't for Shaman, I think Rogue would unequivocally be the best class at the moment. With Shaman's out of the way, expect Rogues to be the start for one, possibly both players. But we'll see what they're thinking once we get into the game.
Yeah, this is where the mind games come in with the pure mirror. Just realizing now I somehow clicked Rogue Man for JR. So we're going to fix that real quick here. To accurately represent what you'll be seeing. There it is. Shaman Ban. Double Shaman Ban. For everybody who followed the community tournament today, shout out to SnakeFods for winning that in the standard half of the tournament. But if you've been watching Hearthstone all day on the THL channel, thank you very much for continuing to tune in and continue to support the stream. Very much appreciated. Hopefully, we continue to live up to the high expectations they set today. Lotus Knight and AgentPWE, who you'll see in Game 2, did a great job today casting, so really appreciate it. And shout out to NHL/Marty B for the stream up today. Great job by the entire team.
So Donde, while we're talking about THL streams, a burning question that's often asked is, what can I use my THL points on? And
I'm glad you asked.
Yes, sir. There were ways to spend the THL points. There were predictions happening throughout the match.
We are working.
That's something to look forward to.
We are working on that as a permanent fixture. There's the updates to like being able to bet your THL points, bet your channel points in Twitch. So that will be something forthcoming, guaranteed, happening.
Outstanding. Way to go, Donde. King of content.
Trying, man. Here we go.
So it looks like I was 100% wrong. One player brought Warrior, the other player brought Paladin. I'd probably get the early edge to JR in that meetup. Paladin typically has been favored over Warrior for some time now. I think most of the archetypes that we've seen on either side typically favor the Paladin. It looks like JR is running the pure Paladin, seeing that Lightforge Zealot in his hand along with Bronze Explorer. Not often seen in Paladin list, and for Yellowdart, Bomb Warrior, Rich Caliber right away. So this will be pretty interesting.
Not only a Rich Caliber, but a Corsair cache, so he's going to have both Rich Calibers in hand. Yeah, absolutely. I doubted that there would be a risky skipper in here, so that's no Ankar in that case.
Yeah, and something interesting with the pure choice, it does have a lot of healing, but there is obviously no weapon removal unique to Paladin, so you won't see the sticky fingers that sometimes pop up in the Broom version. I guess the only possibility would be from first day of school a Bloodsail Corsair that takes one durability off the weapon, but Yellowdart gets to immediately start shuffling bombs into JR's deck. So
shutting off those pure, shutting off the pure cards there too.
Right. Yeah, his bombs are neutral.
Very important there. So that Lightforge Zealot now in hand is just a 4/2.
And hovering over it, but
JR realizing maybe.
Yeah, at this point, having a Hand of Adal in hand seems to be probably the better choice, along with the Outer Attendant and 1 mana Libram, or possibly both hands. I mean, at this point, you wouldn't necessarily mind getting that bomb out of your deck, although you know you're going to get a whole bunch more. So
absolutely, this is not the last bomb you will see. And it should be noted, too, this is actually a favorite matchup for Paladin, and it's not overwhelming. I mean, it's about 54%. So a lot of that, I believe, is predicated on, you know, does the Warrior get the Wrench Caliber early? And in this case, Yellowdart, of course, gets it literally as early as you can by coining it out. And I think that's a huge tell as far as who is now favored at this point going forward. It's got to be Yellowdart.
So Yellowdart should be able to clean up this board pretty easily. Drawing the Horde Belgium, and he is just going to have weapons for days. So he opts to start with the Minefield. I might have wanted to swing into the copy. Is pretty fortunate there that the mines went the right direction. That worked out pretty well. I don't know if it was necessarily a risk he necessarily wanted to take, but it definitely paid off.
If his plan was a sword and board, he could have just led with a sword and board and guaranteed the minefield kill. And there's a bomb draw, so it does get JR one step closer to. Oh, I thought it was a bomb for a second. Nope, that's getting him closer to being able to play the pure cards, but I doubt he's ever going to have occasion to play them the rest of this game.
That's unlikely. Getting 2 shields is a pretty good drop on turn 3, but here we are on turn 5, along with the pure power, not quite as threatening as it might have otherwise been. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see Yellowdart just keep throwing these swings face at this point. Let the Paladin develop a little bit more for the Brawl in a future turn. He's also got the Playstorm. Every turn he's swinging, it just is a matter of how much he wants to take damage himself, extra damage, and in this case I think it makes sense just to hit the face. I think the reason this matchup is kind of favored for the pure Paladin is just the amount of healing. JR are already holding the Libram of Hope #1 that can mitigate a couple bomb swings as well as the weapon swings themselves with the taunt. So definitely a key card in this matchup that JR is very happy to have in hand already.
Yeah, this is, I mean, something that I guess to point out here, Yellowdart obviously wants to keep swinging. Very important that he keeps swinging. He might actually have too much in the way of weapon-based cards. You know, he doesn't necessarily need that second Wrench Caliber with the Horde Pillager, so it's kind of, at this point, like, just maybe a little bit overkill.
Yeah, you see that now, except for, again, the amount of healing that Paladin has, that he's going to probably need every single swing of his weapon to get the job done if he's going to take this game. So
depends on the bomb luck.
That's true. Rooting for Brawl luck here, looking for that 1/1 to survive. I think it's definitely the best play here. There's really nothing else in his hand that even close deals with what's on the board. And gets the worst outcome, leaving the 6/6 on the board. And don't think you can swing into it. I think it's just too much damage coming back with that 3-mana weapon, or that 3 damage weapon on the Paladin side. It's not great.
Not to mention the fact that he knows there's a Libram of Wisdom in hand because it's been bounced back. And, ooh, he's going to swing anyway. Wow. Very dangerous here.
Yeah, so JR is going to be 1 damage off of lethal if he draws the other Libram. Because he's got the hand and the Libram that brings this up to a 9 attack minion. But, yeah, he's just going to push it all and set Yellowdart down to 1.
Yeah, I think that's fine. It's a pretty tough spot to be in. Yellowdart cannot swing, and JR's got the Libram of Hope to back up this, this health total on the next turn. Ooh, Minefield not terrible, but
no, the game's over.
Well, you can Blade Storm, you can Minefield.
Yeah, he can clear the board, but he can't put up enough armor. That really good inclusion for the Paladin in this set with the Hammer of the Naru. The 6/6 taunt is obviously the highlight, but the 3/3 weapon is pretty significant. It gives Paladins a little more reach than they've had in the past.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice inclusion in the deck for sure. And Yellowdart is going to commit seppuku.
Yeah, I wonder how many bombs would have been in the deck. I mean, it's extremely unlikely that JR would have drawn 3 bombs in a row.
No, that was the third left. He put the third into the deck right there. So
right.
Yeah, there was no lethal out for Yellowdart.
There you go. So a relatively quick, when you're talking about a warrior Paladin matchup, that goes in the way of the Paladin. So JR takes a 1-0 lead over Mr. Frog.
Yeah, and JR has pointed out on numerous occasions here that he's never beat Yellowdart. So pretty good start here for JR. Hopefully for him, not deceiving, because Yellowdart now, he's going to have the option of bringing that Bomb Warrior back, or one of the other 2 decks, whereas JR is down to Rogue and Warrior needing to get through here.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what variant of Paladin Yellowdart has. Now with the other Paladin out of the way, if Yellowdart had brought a Broom Paladin, that would be a slightly favored matchup against the Pure. So JR getting that win on the Pure against clearly its most favored matchup in the Warrior is pretty big. Just getting that first initial lineup win out of the way.
Here we go, game 2 getting started. It's going to be a Warrior versus Warrior match.
Already seeing a Sticky Finger in JR's hand along with, of course, Ericash. It's a pretty good start.
Yep.
We'll see what else he decides to keep, but I imagine both of those 2 cards are being kept as well as the Shield Block.
All right, so Bulwark is in the deck, so it's definitely a more control-oriented. I mean, ETC maybe no. It's just Cthulhu. It's Control Warrior.
Yeah. So this is kind of what I refer to at the start of the cast. Is typically people like to bring the warrior that beats other warriors, and JR has made the decision that it's the Cthulhu Warrior that beats the other warriors, whereas Yellowdart thinks that Bomb Warrior beats the other warriors, and I think it's a pretty close call between these 2 decks in particular. I think they beat the other warriors, but I think they're pretty evenly matched.
It's actually Bomb Warrior's decently favored here. One of the better ones. Yeah, it's a 57.8% according to the Legend stats on HS Replay.
And I wonder how much of that includes the variance with the Sticky Fingers, because I think that does add some points back to the Cthulhu Warrior. So we'll see how that plays out. But having it in hand to begin with is pretty big for JR.
Yeah, it should be pointed out too. He's drawn Bulwark now, and he's drawn Ankar, and he has Corsair Cache. So that's his weapons. That's all the weapons you have in that deck.
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean,
at least
I imagine he would have played
weapons.
Corsair Cache if he had a weapon.
Right. Yeah, he might also be running Sword Eaters, but Sword Eater does not get drawn off Corsair Cache. It just gives you a weapon on its own.
I mean, why would you want to make that card even stronger than it is?
So Yellowdart about to get the bad news that he's going to get a bomb shuffled in his own deck, because I would assume that JR's plan here is going to be swing with the Ankar, coin, sticky fingers.
Sounds like a good plan here to me. We've got the first piece of Cthulhu drawn as well.
So I wonder if he's going to play the sticky fingers before. Yeah, I guess so, because he wants to clear this 2/3. That makes sense. You give up one draw on the pirate. It's a reasonable choice also, just to, in typical warrior versus warrior matchups, fatigue can become a factor. Less likely. Yeah, unfortunate. Less likely. Yeah, when bombs are at play, that it comes down to fatigue. But still, it's something to keep in mind to maybe forego some draw that you might otherwise be happy to take. And wow, he picks up the Rattleboard now as well. Another key card in the warrior matchups.
Yeah, JR taking that Wrench Caliber, paying off immediately with Horde Pillager being drawn for Yellowdart. And the second one, just to add insult to injury.
So Yellowdart will be desperately searching for that other Wrench Caliber that's in his deck. Get that online and make these Horde Pillagers not be useless in his hand.
We will see the first Cthulhu spell get played for JR. That is the body of Cthulhu, the 6/6 questionably pictured Cthulhu.
So Yellowdart taking the aggressive line, just going ahead and playing Galakrond now. Picks up Barrow, which is normally very good. Getting it buffed can potentially be detrimental, because you need now another way to clear it. Like Minefield might not be a guarantee, way it would have been with an unbuffed Barrow. And he doesn't have any other good ways of dealing with this, of activating the Barrow. He does have the Deathwing, which is a pretty reasonable turn 8 play into 10 attack on the board.
I mean, something like Barov plus Minefield could work, theoretically. I mean, odds are strong that you're gonna hit the 2, and that might be what he goes with here.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Plus, he has the Hero Power follow-up if something misses.
Let's see where the rolls go.
He does not get the taunt. Ouch.
Not great.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Just gonna shield slam it away.
Yeah, I suppose he's not running Battle Rages in this deck, so being below the 30 life threshold doesn't matter as much as it does for some warriors.
Char with a wealth of options in hand. Bladestorm looking like what he wants to go with here, just to clear the Barov. An interesting choice to use the Bulwark now.
I think it's fine. Warrior's not going to have a lot of little damage. It kind of eases off the hero power from Dart, but at the same time, that hero power is just going to keep chipping away at the bulwark charges.
He's going to need to, he's going to need to keep leveraging that hero power to get rid of the bulwark, because at this rate, he's still 3 turns away from being able to actually start damaging again.
Right, and the reason he played the bulwark last turn is just to set up the Rattleboard for this turn. Dart finally gets his Wrench Caliber, but you know, is it too little, too late with that bulwark up and facing down a Rattleboard? We'll see if Yellowdart's running any answers. Could be in the form of an owl, could be in the form of a Silas. Not typically running Bomb Warrior, but you never know. And that bulwark is just immensely powerful right now in this situation, because Yellowdart's on a clock. That bulwark is basically freezing the hands in place.
Now I have to ask, do you think it might have been more beneficial there to hold the upgrades for a post-Horde Pillager wrench, considering you know that for now you're not going to be able to actually do any damage to the face, and as we see JR go off with his Risky Super Armorsmith here and make a second Rattlegore. And this might be all just perfunctory discussion here, because it looks like this game is all but over in the favor of JR. But would you have held those upgrades possibly to actually be able to push more damage?
Yeah. It's tough to say because I mean you're just sitting there not doing anything else. But yeah, at this point it's pretty much all she wrote. There's no answer to 2 Rattle Course available to warriors, and basically facing down just about lethal damage depending on what survives this brawl. If he opts to brawl, but he might just cut his losses and move to game 3.
Yeah, even a brawl in which one of the Rattlegores dies, it's still 17 damage on board. And both Rattlegores die, leaving the 17 damage regardless. It's still 18 if you count the weapon. Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, and there's just no hope here. As much armor as JR was able to gain, plus putting 2 Rattle Cores. I mean, basically, JR had everything he could possibly want this game to shut down a Bomb Warrior.
That means moving on and looking ahead to game 3 here, we're going to see JR bring that Rogue. Is there something that might be in Yellowdart's lineup here that you think will be the best counter to beat that Rogue? Knowing, I mean, full well that Yellowdart's going to have to win 3 times in order to claim victory here.
Tough without knowing exactly what rogue it is. Depending on what rogue Yellowdart brought, Paladin will probably be his last choice, because that traditionally is not a favorite deck against the rogue. So it depends on if he thinks his rogue lines up better into the mirror, or if this Bomb Warrior is the choice. But the more aggressive that rogue is, the more punishing it could be for the Bomb Warrior. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Yellowdart just jump into the mirror.
It's going to have to be it's going to be a climb. It's going to be a climb for Yellowdart. He's not looking too hot with the 2-0 deficit to open the series here against JR. But we do know that JR has yet to beat Yellowdart, so maybe this is enough evidence to say that Yellowdart will come back. He's going to run this Bomb Warrior back one more time.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just get stuck on a deck that you think is favored against the other 3 and didn't work out the first 2 times, but might as well go for it again. So JR does have Edwin, which can be a really tough card for a warrior to answer, but he's not on coins, so it does delay it ever so slightly. And Yellowdart, I expect him to probably keep the wrench, maybe the minefield, but the 2 brawls are definitely getting tossed back.
Yeah, he does have that Pharaoh Cat, which, if it stays up, could be a Shadow Step target, could help Edwin out.
Yeah, I think the only thing that can really change the math here would be a Foxy Fraud drawn, which would give JR the opportunity to play it on turn 2.
Yellowdart liking to see that Corsair cash. He's got Sword and Board, he's got some control cards, and he just draws Orange Caliber. No hesitation, rips the Sword and Board right away, gets rid of that Pharaoh Cat. Alright, this looks more to be the secret version and not the Whirl Kick. I don't really see too many of the Whirl Kicks also running the Blackjack Stunners and Secrets in addition to everything else.
Yeah, so one or the other. And Bomb Warrior is favored into this matchup as well. I think this one does stick closer to the statistics, because you are not going to see Sticky Fingers or other weapon tech generally in a Secret Rogue. So I think Yellowdart did make the right statistical choice to queue up the Bomb Warrior again.
Yellowdart once more every weapon card you could want. He's going to hold off on coining out the Orange Caliber. Definitely a little bit of a play around Dirty Tricks and also a Plagiarize there.
Your presence offends me.
And now we get to the point where Yellowdart has to consider he's got to do something. And maybe Sword and Board first here. And
it's definitely playing Orange Caliber.
Well, I'm thinking if you Sword and Board first and then you realize it's Plagiarize and not Dirty Tricks, maybe you just Hero Power at that point. So that way you're not giving a Wrench Caliber to your opponent.
Yeah, I think you have to just start swinging. The question is whether he coined Swords and Boards, but I think if he didn't coin the last turn to put out the weapon, then he's not going to coin this turn to teleport one.
Your presence offends me.
And Krastenov on deck as well can pump up that Wrench Caliber as well. Ambush, a second secret in play here for JR. To this point, still hasn't played that Edwin.
Yeah, he hasn't had the hand for it or the questing. doesn't have the juice to build up the Edwin and not enough cards to follow up in the questing to get it out of range of
Well,
the
next
other
turn
cards.
he will, for sure, be able to make a large Edwin.
Yeah. So he's going to see the ambush. He'll probably kill it with his weapon, and I really think it's worth going Sword and Board on the 4-1 here as well, just to go ahead and take all the minions off the board and make it that much more difficult for JR to answer the Krasnov.
Yeah, at that point he knows, you know, kind of what he's doing. He knew the Secret Reserve tricks. He knew it can plagiarize. So you can kind of be a little bit more loose with your play in terms of how many cards you're tossing out. And yeah, this is actually not too bad here for Yellowdart as far as the hand he's got. JR is probably going to make a decent size questing or Edwin this turn.
He's going to make both. He's going to play questing, then he's going to play Foxy, he's going to shout us up to Foxy, and then he's going to play the Edwin. Edwin will end up being in a 10-10, I think, depending on whether he chooses to backstab or not.
So will he backstab his own minion? That's a good question.
Care to make a wager,
and Yellowdart knows what the score is right here. He knows what's coming. 12-12 Edwin, 7-7 questing adventure, and a little 1-1 in the middle, just being a pain in the butt for Bladestorm. Gonna start with cutting
the draw.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what we can pull. Probably
Minefield.
So this now gives him the opportunity to clear, because he can
absolutely
trade into the 1-1 Bladestorm and then Minefield behind it.
Yeah, that's man, that is tilting as the rogue, because you just use 2 of your 3 real big power cards in this deck, in one of the questings and Edwin, and it is not even going to touch the face one time.
And I would expect Yellowdart to now emote immediately after playing this Minefield.
the emote meta, very important to know the players, to know. No emote. All right.
Okay. So this is how I know that Yellowdart's tilted, because a happy, healthy Yellowdart would absolutely have emoted after playing the Minefield that he drew, just to save his bacon.
Swindle gonna pick up a Prep and a Foxy Fraud as well. Not a whole lot else to do with this turn, unfortunately. JR is gonna have to take it slow.
I think this is the point in the game where the Warriors turn the corner. It's going to be really tough for the Warrior to come back. Some secret lists have been running 2 questing, some ops for only 1. If JR is only running 1, then this game might already be over, and we'll just have to wait and see what other threats he's able to develop. But at this point, Yellowdart can kind of do whatever he wants. He's got the Boom follow-up for next turn, which really is probably going to be the death knell of this rogue. Being able to armor up, being able to have a couple shield slams, he's going to have weapons for days, so this is looking really good for Yellowdart to start to turn the series around.
Yeah, with all the Horde Pillagers, everything. Like, I mean, you don't even need to play the Blastmaster this turn if you don't want to. It's especially with the fact that you've got board already established. You don't need to, give up free bomb space if you don't have to.
Yeah, next turn will probably be the Horde Pillager.
I would think that makes the most sense. And well, there's a bomb.
Bomb off Swindle always hurts. It does get him an extra card, which one deep is pretty good. Gives him a couple options. Not the best options, but
Rapid Fire picked that magic trick though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think not really much use for devolving missiles in this matchup. Dragon Sword really feels good here, just to give him some sort of threat. And Jandis also being picked up is pretty good. I think it's disciplinary. You're never gonna activate Ticketus. You'll just burn your own cards. I guess you could burn the bombs, but I think Gambling gives you the best options considering all the cheap minions that you have in Lacking Generation. So
yeah, I was trying to think if there was anything that Ticketus would get corrupted by in this deck, but you're right, it's not. It's a tease in this case.
Yeah. And Terralion, you're not the control, so that doesn't really help your game plan.
Mm-hmm. I do agree. Gambling, good choice here. It does give JR some options to make those lackeys actually a bit more potent.
We'll see what he chooses here. Picking up another upgrade makes this pretty good. He might just go ahead and shield slam the 2/5 and then swing face. Sure, why not? At this point.
Yeah, and 2/5 is not the illusion. So that one's the full health version. Let's see if Yellowdart cares.
Today I learned if you are the spectator and you hover over them, you can see which one is and which one is not.
Yes,
illusion. That's pretty cool.
That is how I show the stream when this happens.
Perfect.
Had a few Barovs played in my day while I'm mopping.
True professional.
You know, just helping everybody pick a few things up here and there if we can.
Class dismissed. Now time for the real lesson.
Ambush
So,
coming down, Titanic Lackey.
A 4/4 that gives a taunt, and a 4/4 that does, what, 3 damage, 4 damage? I think it'll end up being 4 damage on one of these minions.
Yeah, this is a pretty potent board all of a sudden for JR
Yeah.
out of nothing. Yes, his hand is gone, but Yellow needs to have some sort of answer.
Yeah, I mean, he's not dead next turn, so Blastmaster Boom is an option.
That is a dead draw right there.
Yeah, it might be the Blastmaster and Prey turn now for Yellowdart. He should have enough bombs in the deck, I think, to get the full suite of options. I don't know if I make this swing, though.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, if you're looking at like a secret passage off the top into Eviscerate is...
Right, it's just that little extra damage that might end up being the difference. Especially with an ambush coming down.
Yeah.
14, 17, 21. Oof, that's real close.
Yeah, this is either top deck Eviscerate or secret passage into Eviscerate. Well, it's top deck Bomb, that's for sure. And a Pharaoh Cat is, well...
Does not do it.
Doesn't
So
get
it does offer a couple options. Cartoon, even though it gets eaten, that's not the greatest option.
I mean, it's not a bad one though. It does put a little bit of breathing room between JR and Yellowdart, and I don't hate it as a pickup.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you play it now, you're just getting a 4/4, which is, I mean, I don't know, I guess. So.
And a 4/4 eats a bomb.
So, Yellowdart needs a brawl here off the top.
Evil Quartermaster. Well, he could Evil Quartermaster into a Lackey into a brawl.
It's definitely the
Possibilities
start.
are endless.
Could be a boat.
Oh, I'm familiar with that guy right there, the Witchy Lackey.
In your mind, that is the only Lackey.
Yeah,
I don't know why you're thinking that a Lackey would give you a spell for brawl. Like what?
Silly me. Yeah, Witchy Lackey doesn't turn a minion into a spell.
Okay, so let's see how Dart opts to play these bombs. I imagine that they're going to run into this 4/2 first. Interesting. Not super helpful at this point in time.
I was thinking he might run into the 3/2 knowing that that's the illusion at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the first one should have gone into it, but he's going to be able to clear most, maybe all.
Possibly all. Well, definitely all if he uses the weapon.
Okay, so go ahead and keep that one bomb on the field and play Corsair Cash for no reason.
For the memes, man.
I guess not.
Nope. Oh, Shadow Step, not great.
There's a whiff. 3, 4. So he's not there yet.
And Armor Up will keep Yellowdart out of immediate death range, at least for what he can see. Brawl is turn late. But a 4/7 Horde Pillager's coming down, I would imagine.
I think so, yeah. He's not able to kill the 7/3. I wonder if he plays the Pillager and then brawls anyway. And it feels like a risk. I think, yeah.
I would say if he brawls and loses the brawl in any capacity there, he just dies.
Yeah, I think both of these go face. I think it's 100% go face and just hope that JR draws one of the now 6 bombs in his deck.
6 out of 16, yeah, it's a pretty good percentage chance that JR is just going to die on the spot.
Milking the moment for all it's worth.
And there it is. Milked. And there's the emote. There it is.
Yellowdart's back. It's back in the game.
And we will see what else Yellowdart has up his sleeve, because he's played nothing but Warrior this entire game so far. But I'm sure relieved just to get on the board.
Yeah, I think we're expecting the Rogue now. Secret Rogue in particular is really tough for any Paladin to deal with. So I imagine Yellowdart is going to take the more likely option of a 50-50 at, best.
And you are correct.
So he's also playing Secret Rogue, so true mirror.
And also playing Pirate Valera, so completely true mirror.
Yeah, once again, JR picking up Edwin, but not on the coin. With that Shadow Step in hand, we'll see if he's able to get it out earlier this game. Yellowdart, I would expect him to throw this entire hand back. Although he might keep the Dirty Tricks Blackjack Stunner combo just to have an early answer or a potential draw, knowing that Rogue plays a lot of spells, particularly in the early game. So, interesting mulligan choices for both players.
I don't know if we're witnessing a spectate bug here, but for some reason I can't see JR's hand. It says that we're specking him, so I don't know.
Okay, he had Edwin, Shadow Step, and Swindle. He threw back Edwin and Shadow Step and kept the Swindle and was rewarded with a Feral Cat, which he immediately played. The other cards in his hand are Prep, and he pulled a Bone Wraith off of the cat, as well as drawing a prize Plunderer. So, decent options. He'll be able to prep Swindle next turn just to get some gas going, and potentially set up the prize Plunderer to kill something that Yellowdart plays. For example, if Yellowdart decides to coin out this Hanar on turn 1, thinking it is likely to live, but he does not. So
keep talking us through it here, because I'm trying to reset the spec real quick to see if we can get the hand for JR.
Yeah, so JR draws the ambush off the top and plays it. So yeah, it looks like if Yellowdart wasn't going to coin out the Hanar, he's just going to save it until he gets a bigger turn off of it. Plays the Dirty Tricks and notes that it did not proc the Dirty Tricks that JR might have in his deck, so figures that to be ambush based on what he saw last game. Can help inform his decision making going forward.
And we are back with JR's hand now on screen too, so luckily just having to restart the spec got us going. Sorry about that little issue there.
So now this looks like the kind of hand that JR wishes he had Edwin to go along with, but One Thief not giving the best choices. Current session 2 mana draw 1 is fine. I kind of like taking damage.
Oh, there's the Edwin.
Finally gets the Edwin, so that could come into play next turn, depending on what Yellowdart does.
Yeah, I can definitely see if he has a minion to Shadow Step here, it is a very, very good possibility.
So Yellowdart opts to start with the cat, pulls the ambush out, and now could opt to backstab Dagger, the 2/3 down, just to not have to worry about it, or play the Temple Berserker to have something on the board.
By the way, thank you, chat, for pointing out that I was tilted by the big Edwin. And, this is for anybody out there who doesn't know me. I am the guy who loses to the huge Edwin. It happened to me in Legacy last night. I just try to keep consistent with the type of person that I am, and, Edwin be like that sometimes for me. We will see the Shadow Step on the... Oh, yeah, this is a no-brainer turn. I guess the big question is, what do you... Oh, Pyroblast is tempting.
100% Pyroblast.
It's 100%. Yeah, Deck of Lunacy doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot for the Rogue,
no.
But Pyroblast does. And big Edwin Van Cleef... 8/8 is not big by Van Cleef standards, but it's certainly large enough to be disruptive here.
And so, no answer for Dart. He might just have to go ahead and Secret Passage. He might play the ambush first, just to lock in a secret. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised to see a prep, ambush, coin, Secret Passage, just to give him the maximum mana and opportunity to continue on with this turn. But having no answer in hand kind of leads me to take that line. But it looks like he's thinking about Hanar, trying to get that going. So we'll see what options he's given.
Plenty of choices with the prep use here. Ambush lets him take any 2-cost secret. Yeah, there's choices now. Misdirection plus possibly a coin and another Paladin secret if that is offered.
So Noble Sacrifice is perfect here. Yep, I was going to say, because that is going to probably eat... I mean, I guess JR can Dagger to eat the Noble Sac, and then One Thief to eat a potential... Misdirect if that's on his mind, but sometimes you don't always think about all the possibilities. And Misdirect is maybe the most obscure Paladin, Hunter secret. So we'll see how JR plans around this.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what secrets get played, and yeah, you sit there and say, all right, my opponent can play around this in this way, that way. The fact is that it opens them up to misplays, which is certainly a possibility. It opens you up to, if you happen to order incorrectly, if you happen to even just need to use mana just to play around stuff, it disrupts that game plan enough that it's still worth playing even the obscure secrets. We are going to see the misdirection trigger and kill this one too.
So that is so what's gonna it's gonna end up proccing both the Noble Sacrifice and the misdirect. So works out for JR.
Okay. I had not seen that interaction, I'll be honest. I did not know it was going to hit the Noble Sacrifice. I thought it was just going to leave a 2-1 up. But yeah, we don't tend to see the Paladin and Hunter Seekers proccing at the same time a whole lot in games. Right. So, yep, a little bit of an edge scenario there.
So he opts to not attack with the Edwin. Interesting. Wait, did he not attack, or did he? Sorry. No, he attacked the Hanar. My bad. I was thinking he was going to go face with it, but I guess he prioritizes the Hanar being the value engine for Dart. So now some interesting choices for Dart. I don't know if questing here makes sense as much as he'd like to. Pressure plate absolutely does.
Sure. I like pressure plate plus evil, and then set yourself up for a possible big questing the next turn, depending on what you get out of the lackey generation, aka
I think Dart is hoping that JR plays a spell before he attacks into this questing, but he plays another minion, so this might end up killing the 3/2 instead of the A7.
Well, it's also a situation, too, where that could be a freezing trap. And if he sends that Edwin back to hand, I mean, it could come out bigger. That's a possibility. Oh,
hits the 3/2.
Oh, and Edwin survives. He dodged another one. Dodging nerfs. Yeah, dodging nerfs, dodging pressure plates. Just, he's seemingly immortal.
And so I would have probably started with the one thief just to see if I could have gotten a quick answer to the questing, but no, JR. Okay, I like this too. Playing the Prize Plunder to kill both minions. Let the Edwin go face this time around, and really put Dart in a bind. I think this is where we see the secret passage, and hope for a secret stunner probably would be his best answer in this deck. He's already played 2 secrets, so he still has 2. I mean, it is a little bit of a long shot, but I don't know that he has any other shot at this point of dealing with this Edwin in a timely manner.
Yeah, it definitely needs to go if Yellowdart's going to have any chance at this.
I wonder.
So I guess he's going... Interesting he plays the Berserker first. I guess there's not too much in his deck that costs more than 3 mana anyway. So it makes sense just to have something on the board. But
there's a secret. Oh, alright, so we're probably going to see Wand Thief get tossed in first here.
Wand Thief, look for Devolving or something. Magic Trick probably.
Freeze it perhaps. No Ray of Frost there.
The Cloak of Shadows isn't terrible, but he did take a long time to make this happen, so unfortunately he might not get to make a good choice and make the play.
Does get the Blizzard, which wouldn't have been able to play this turn anyway, so now the question becomes, is he just dead?
But 2 more damage is needed for JR.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's got that spell lacking hand, though.
Your lackey plus
Cold Blood.
So, GG. And for the first time in the history of Hearthstone, JR has defeated Yellowdart in a series. Wow. Donde, we're just historic now. I don't know what to say.
Witnessing history, it's tough because in the moment, you want to try to put it into words, and it's hard to say exactly what I'm sure JR is feeling right now, which is joy, I guess would be the term that you'd use. Relief, perhaps. Just saying that he finally got it off his back, that monkey off his back of losing to Yellowdart over and over again. But
I think the most important part is that it was on stream, captured for all to see.
Yes, it was 100% verifiable for all time. It's going to be on YouTube in a VOD. guaranteed, and not only that, it keeps Illidan's Death Knights alive in this series, because as we mentioned before, it was 8-3 going in, so now it's going to be they're trailing still 9-7. However, much closer than it once was. So we can get JR in here for an interview, because we are still a little bit ahead of schedule since the next match isn't supposed to start for a few minutes. I'll let the players know that they can start getting ready to go, but we can do an interview with JR in the meantime if you'd like.
Absolutely. Yeah, give the man his moment in the spotlight.
All right, let's see about getting him in. JR, are you there?
I am here. I am present. How's everybody doing?
We're great. How are you
Pretty
doing?
good.
I mean, I'm sure you can guess after losing the last 3 matches to Yellowdart over various series and wanting to end that losing streak. I think you know the answer to that.
Really,
Yes.
we remarked that it was a monumental occasion. It was the first time in history that you had defeated Yellowdart in a series. So congratulations.
I hate you so much right now. You have no idea.
So obviously Yellowdart struggled quite a bit with his bomb warrior there. When you were crafting lineups, obviously looking at the lists here, you went a little bit different directions, but the classes are the same. Did you expect bomb warrior, or was that something that kind of came as a bit of a surprise to you?
I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a deck that I could easily see him bringing, but we were all very sure about it because from the first 2 matches that were played of the series, both of their players brought bomb warrior. So we felt pretty confident that that was the direction they were going in. We also saw that Bomb Warrior did actually line up pretty well in the when we did the matchup chart. Like, I thought Control Warrior was going to be like extremely favored, but Bomb Warrior actually looked pretty solid. So I felt just the best way to kind of deal with that was tinkering with my lineup a little bit, which it actually helped that the decks I was playing were decks I was already pretty comfortable with and just happened to match up well into his lineup. So I'm just glad my strategy ended up paying off there.
Yeah, it does make a difference. We had noticed that as well, that the Bomb Warrior lined up pretty well, especially into the Control Warrior, but seeing the Sticky Fingers in your opening hand, that is the kind of tech that makes a huge difference in the matchup as played out. Him holding a couple Horde Pillagers that were completely useless because of that Sticky Fingers. So
I was contemplating if it was too soon to play that because I almost wanted to wait until he had like a more wrench caliber with more durability, but then I considered, okay, if he's got a Horde Pillager, I'm going to want to deprive him of a destroyed weapon as quickly as possible. So I guess I was very fortunate that ended up paying off in the way it did.
Yeah, you were not only did it pay off, it immediately paid off because he drew that Horde Pillager.
Mm-hmm.
The next turn. Like, he didn't have it, but he would have had it.
Yeah, I was going to ask
that's pretty big. But I would say, honestly, despite how much the Sticky Finger did in that game, I felt like the Bulwark was honestly the MVP of that matchup.
It ended up being, yeah, for sure.
That and Rattlegore, because there were turns where he was trying to swing for 8 damage, and Bulwark just stopped him right in his tracks.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit, I was curious about the use of the Bulwark. I thought it might have been a little too early. And like you said, it did work out tremendously, and it's kind of one of those things that it's hard with Control Warrior. There's a lot of different lines you can take, a ton of different lines, and they don't necessarily seem obvious at the time whether or not they're correct.
Right.
But then 4 or 5 turns down the line, we start to see that obviously that was the right decision.
So I guess for me, I did honestly consider exactly what you were thinking. Maybe it's a bit too soon, and knowing my follow-up play was going to be Rattlegore, I didn't necessarily have a plan to remove any minions he dropped down. But then my thought process was, okay, unless he has something like Blastmaster Boom, he's not really going to have an easy way of dealing with the durability. Because, Bomb Warrior tends to rely on its weapon hits and bomb damage as opposed to individual minions. There are obviously some exceptions, but that weapon ends up being like the main damage dealer. And if he doesn't, and since Bomb Warrior doesn't really have an easy way of dealing like little bits of damage outside of that, I figured the Bulwark was going to pay off in that respect. I think unless he had like a Blastmaster Boom, there wasn't really going to be a way for him to knock off the durability quickly or easily.
I had to set up that Rattlegore for you perfectly. just being able to play that safely. There aren't too many answers from Warrior, especially in a Bomb Warrior that almost never runs Silas and doesn't often run Owl. So
Right.
Being able to get that down on turn 9 definitely made a difference in that game.
Yeah, that was also part of the reason I felt comfortable with bringing Cthulhu Warrior and bringing the and like lining it up against in that matchup. Like I figure against Bomb Warrior, they do have ways of like beating you, obviously, if they pile on the damage. But they don't really have an answer to Rattlegore, and you have ways of building up a lot of armor to kind of minimize the impact of the bomb damage. So I felt pretty good about each matchup. The Paladin, I will say, the funniest thing was in the first game when I was playing my Paladin deck against his Bomb Warrior. I was so sure I made a mistake and was like, "Wait, why is my Lightforge Zealot not working? Why is it not glowing?" Because no joke, I kid you not. So this deck was from Plants, and he wound up putting it in the Discord, and then realized, wait, why did nobody call me out on this? I put a neutral minion in here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
And
We
so I
knew
thought
the
to myself-
bomb was in there. That's all that we
Right.
knew.
Right, but I literally go into our Discord in the middle of the match. I'm like, Plants, I think you put another neutral minion in here. What is wrong with you? And then I realized, no, wait, I'm playing against Bomb Warrior. I'm an idiot.
That's funny. Yeah, it's pretty interesting with Pure Paladin how those interactions works. Whereas bombs are neutral, but things like the Spirit Juggler off of First Day of School, the Soul Fragments are class cards, so they don't count as neutrals. They don't deactivate the pure cards. So
You know how I can tell you've been playing Battlegrounds? You just called a Spirit Juggler and not a Spirit Jailer.
whatever it's called, 1/3 that shuffles Soul Fragments.
Is this
Yes,
why you're not in the
Spirit
top
Jailer.
100 anymore?
Spirit Jailer.
Yes.
Hey, listen, you don't have to know cards, what they're called. You just have to know what they do.
He's not wrong about that.
It's true. Yeah, you see the card, you play the card, you know what it does. That's all that matters.
Right.
The name
Is
is
the card green, you play it. Is it yellow, it's even better.
Oh my god, yeah.
Is it red? It's going to be discarded if I don't play it.
Oh god.
It's
I mean, it's funny how there aren't more cards that take advantage of that card mechanic, you know?
Yeah, I'd love to see them expand on that. I mean, I'm sure it can get kind of frustrating. That's something Blizzard's talked about in the past too, of really being careful how they handle hand disruption, because it is very frustrating to combo players. But it is a valid strategy, especially in a meta like this where there are a lot of cards that you want to get out of people's hands.
Right, and I've always figured that even though I don't like the idea of adding more RNG like that into the game, I do wish that there was a way of countering combo decks, because something like ETC Warrior, for instance, your only way of really countering the deck is if you don't play minions and don't give them anything they can rush into when they have the combo. But how are you actually supposed to win that way? What do you actually?
Boredom.
Right, but
you make them tired enough to quit.
Well, that's valid, but also impractical.
Yeah, they've added a couple options such as Ticketus, if you're able to activate that. I know Lucia for Priest does a good job of disrupting combos. So there's a couple things here and there, but definitely not available to every class. So
yeah, it's very class specific.
Are playing what you like to play, it can be frustrating for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't mind combo decks being a thing, but I guess for a player like myself, I look back to when I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, where there were always ways you could at least tech your deck to deal with combo decks. And I feel like, something like that's not something that's fair enough that it gives you an answer without being too overpowered would be nice. Especially when Hearthstone doesn't have a sideboard really. So
yeah, understand.
Just a thought. But I'm glad I hope this was an entertaining match for everybody. I was definitely anxious that he was going to reverse sweep me when I got left with Rogue, because I've had Rogue let me down in several situations before.
Yeah,
thanks for offering up your match as always to have us view. It was entertaining, at least from my mind of things here.
Well, it's my pleasure. Obviously, love the man. I love every opportunity I have to play him. But I'll be honest, I also made a promise on Tavern Talk the week before, where I said if I was playing Yellowdart week 1, it would absolutely be on stream. And I said I'm a man of my word, so we're doing this.
I'm wondering if
got you here.
There weren't some scheduling strings pulled along the way to make that happen.
I'm sure it was. Well, I was going to say, Icicles, did you, or who was it that gave the description of what the match was going to be? Was it you or Donde? The frog versus, what was it again?
Oh, that was me. Yes.
Yeah, Donde.
The frog versus the large man who practices law.
That got a good laugh out of me. I won't lie. That was good.
And Yellow's requesting that we delete the VOD, so we definitely won't be doing that.
Oh, I don't blame him. I basically thought to myself, well, if I beat Yellowdart, he can't dispute it happened. I mean, he'll try, but you know. Now you guys are witnesses. Icicles, I expect you to.
Plenty of witnesses.
Yeah, I expect you to testify under oath now.
Listen, all I know is that Dart was having internet troubles earlier today, so it might have affected his ability to click certain cards or take his turn quickly enough. So there's something that I'm sure he'll be able to point to.
I'm sure. I'm quite sure. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yes.
I'm actually glad that the next match is going to be for my pro team, so I have good reason to at least stick around and watch.
I was going to say, we have the players ready to go, so thanks for joining us, JR. We'll let you go back to the chat where I'm sure you and Yellow will have a few words for each other as he's already typing there. So
I'm sure. There'll be fighting words, but like internet fighting words, so nothing anybody has to worry about.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, and good luck to you the rest of the season as well.
My pleasure. Good luck to both of you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, sir. Alrighty, and with that being said, let's go ahead and transition on over to our pro match. MrPython of Due Process versus AgentPWE of NoProsHere. Well, I also fixed the cams here because that's always a fun little challenge when we do the mid-game interviews. Icicles, we've got a double Shaman ban, which I know you love, and it's not surprising. I know, who would have thought, right? So no high roll shenanigans from Shaman all night tonight, but we're looking at Paladin, Rogue, Warrior for MrPython versus Demon Hunter, Rogue, Warrior for AgentPWE. So Agent is still a believer in this Illidan bring. What do you think about that here, Icicles?
Yeah, I like it. He brought the OTK Lifesteal Demon Hunter. So this is the one that relies on the Illdan combo with either I-Beam or Fellscreen Blast being boosted by spell damage and Monarch Artificers to essentially do lethal damage out of nowhere to your opponent. And it's still a pretty good deck. It lines up pretty well against the field generally, and aggro in particular, with a lot of defensive tools to be able to stay alive. And it also has the juice to outlast control matchups, such as Warrior and Paladin. Unless the Warrior is able to gain just a ridiculous amount of armor. Like, I'm talking almost 100 armor, because that's how much damage the Demon Hunter can do if left to its own devices. So from MrPython's side, with the Paladin, he does have the Broom Paladin, which we did not see in our match earlier today. We saw the Pure. So that one runs Silas and some other interesting options. So that should be pretty entertaining to watch. It looks like they are both running one's running Secret MrPython Rogue, and PWE is running the World Kick combo Rogue. And then finally, PWE is running Bomb Warrior, and MrPython is running a Control Warrior with ETC. So we are seeing differences across the board. Should make for an entertaining match.
It absolutely should, and the players are ready to go too. So I've given them the go-ahead. MrPython will be on the bottom, and we have AgentPWE on top as we get started here. So Pro, as we were mentioning, as Icicles is going over, we know what the deck lists are in difference to the Legacy match we just saw, where we knew the classes but not the decks.
Yeah, so I will note the one thing that is a little bit different from this match, whereas in the Legacy series, the match had not yet been decided across the week, and unfortunately for NoProsHere, Due Process has clinched the week. So at this point, PWE is just playing for points, but points do matter, especially in a competitive series. So AgentPWE has every motivation to take this series, despite the fact that his team has lost for the week. So this should be a good one. Two current top 100 players, if I am looking at my friends list correctly. So it should be a contested and entertaining match. So starting off with Demon Hunter versus Paladin, the two unique classes for each player. And unfortunately for PWE, he has the Illdan in his opening hand, which means that he cannot get it discounted off a Full Celt Skull combo later in the game. So
I thought we were spec bugged again. I didn't see AgentPWE's cards. They popped up about 20 seconds after I hit accept. So we are in full spec mode now, thankfully.
Perfect.
And this is This is the inaugural season of 2 conferences, by the way, in Pro Series. As you can note, the Pink Conference. This is a new setup here for Pro. We have such good representation this season.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask just real quick, who decides the colors for the conferences? The board vote?
So we got to the point where we basically ran out of colors. Wild has got
there's hundreds of colors. There's so many colors.
I mean, like the primary colors, like that you normally see. Like once you start to get into, burnt sienna and fuchsia, you're really starting to pick nits there. But pink had not been represented, and we thought that the black and the pink did a nice little Miami Vice kind of feel to the series, so it blended well.
There you go. All right, so back to the game commentary. After my brief diversion, the reason why we could get away with it is because the OTK Demon Hunter is typically taking things slow, just looking for card draw, the occasional clear. But here, PWE has been able to activate the first Spectral Sight on his previous turn, and the next Spectral Sight whenever he wants. Unfortunately for him, like I mentioned with that Ildan being drawn before Skull, it will block the Skull from being in the outcast position, and the fact he just drew his second one means that he is really unlikely to be able to use the Skulls to discount cards this game. That's going to make this a very challenging matchup. Whereas normally I would probably give the edge to the Demon Hunter in this matchup if played well. Because now for the Paladin, not that he knows this, but MrPython has a little more time to be able to take this victory, and that amount of time can be enough. Paladins can do a decent amount of damage over time, but they're typically not a burst class, and usually it's the burst damage that ends up defeating the Demon Hunter here. So
yeah, I would say that the burst comes in the form of the Penflinger and like at post Liadrin kind of shenanigans there, where the Penflinger is able to rip off about 8 or 9, but even then that's not a ton of burst by the standards of most potent decks in that arena.
Yeah, so this is going to be a challenge for PWE to navigate, trying to find the damage without the discounts. It is possible, but it is going to be a little trickier than this matchup might otherwise be.
I hope you like my invention.
So MrPython does have one Penflinger in hand. He has not been able to discount his Libram to 0. Just looking for one more of the Aldor Attendant or True Seeker to be able to get that down to 0 and then start the Penflinger shenanigans, but still able to put out a decent amount of pressure. Effective Spoiling, always hilarious. Not particularly meaningful in this matchup because it'll most likely die before attacking into a minion, but funny nonetheless.
I realized that the cameras were on us for a little bit here. I think it switched over when I was trying to switch the cams real quick, so I apologize. Or when I was trying to switch the spectate, rather. So I apologize if the last few turns have been missing from your stream, but it is all good to go now.
So not only were they not able to hear us talk about the game, but they weren't even able to see the game for the first couple turns.
I think it was like in the middle, like 3 or 4 turns there. I don't know exactly how many, so I do.
Donde, that called you professional.
I know. It's.
I won't take that back, but still. All right, so PWE looking at a whole lot of cards in his hand that he would love to have in 3 or 4 turns, but right now it makes it a little awkward in dealing with a semi-threatening board, especially being at 14 life. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him play the one of the Fellscream Blasts here just to clear up the minions on MrPython's side of the board, possibly everything but the spoiling potentially, if he's willing to swing into the Amber Watcher.
He's playing the Ooze here to get the Aug Merchant bonus. Interesting.
Okay, so he's keeping the Artificer in hand, opting to have a little more minion pressure while keeping the multiplier in hand. So I don't mind this. Gives MrPython a little bit more to do other than just playing minions and going face. So not a bad choice by PWE.
He does pick up that second Lever of Hope. Still not discounted to play either of them, but even then, that's not really that crucial of a card. Other than creating the body, MrPython will be hard-pressed to heal out of an OTK should PWE be able to assemble enough pieces for it.
Yeah. So, unfortunately for PWE, he draws a 2-mana card that he could play before Skull. Unfortunately, it's the card that also draws another card, so still not able to get the discounts off his Skull like he would want. But Man, it's kind of a rough position once again. He might just opt to play the Skull without discounts just to get through his deck faster. Blade Dance is fine. Typically, you're not going to see too wide of a board, but it does leave you with potentially not an answer for a follow-up Libra and Poke, which we're about to see from MrPython's side. So PWE is quickly running out of time to assemble a full lethal combo. Finally get something you can play in front of that Skull to get these discounts.
We'll see what the cards are that are drawn. There's an I-Beam. Philosophy. And Consume Magic.
Consume Magic is pretty nice as well, being able to play that right now to draw the card. Still kind of in a tough spot, but at least he's not dead to what he can see. Granted, he's not far off, and Pinflinger plus Libram is potential lethal if PWE does not play this I-Beam this turn.
Picks up a Blade Dance. Or not, sorry, Acrobatics.
Acrobatics, yeah. So I don't think MrPython has played either the Pinflinger or the Libram Wisdom yet this game.
He is not.
I'm trying to recall if he played the Libram. I don't think so, because I think it's just been sitting there on the left side of his hand. So
it has been.
Yeah, so this will be lethal for MrPython if PWE does not guess that those are in his hand right now. But it's really tough to make yourself play this ID when it doesn't kill the 8 that's staring you down. He does not. So that will be game 1 for MrPython. Just a tough start. Just not getting the cards you want in the order that you want them from the Demon Hunter side, and MrPython playing this Paladin deck, pretty straightforward. You just play your minions and go face when you don't have much else to do. So, easy first win for Due Process. And that's probably the matchup I would have been happy to get as PWE with that Demon Hunter. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for him. But the other two classes that he would be up against could be potentially a little trickier to navigate. So we'll see what he opts to do if he looks to bring out potentially the Bomb Warrior as the choice against the Warrior and Rogue. No, go right back to the Demon Hunter.
Rogue versus Demon Hunter, absolutely.
Watch your back.
Yeah, for MrPython, I think this makes sense. The Secret Rogue is likely favored against the World Kick Rogue the PWE brought. Probably not that afraid of the Demon Hunter. The only thing that you'd be concerned with is the Warrior, and you probably want your Rogue matched up against that Warrior before your own Warrior. Despite what we saw in the last series, I think generally speaking, you'd probably give credence to the Bomb Warrior, especially because MrPython's list does not run the Sticky Fingers. So, or Cthulhu, for that matter. Two cards that are pretty helpful against the Bomb Warrior. So a little bit better of a start for PWE here, getting a couple cards that he will be able to play ahead of that Skull, so that when he gets around to turn 5, if he wants with the coin to go ahead and get Skull online, can make a lot of difference in this game compared to the last one.
Yeah, this he definitely wants to be more, as aggressive as he possibly can get assembling that combo, since we know that Rogue has a tendency to get out of control with the questing adventure with the Edwin, and can get you quick if you don't have the cards to combat it. So we don't see in that opening hand, or even up to this point, a Consume Magic. So that means AgentPWE can't take care of a large minion very, very easily yet.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he is holding both Twin Slices, so that does give him some ability, as well as the I-Beam and Molarg. That gives him another option. So, he's not completely devoid of possibilities here to deal with either Edwin or Questing if MrPython plays him out. But definitely a much better start for PWE this game, one that certainly he's happy with.
Let me see the duplication of the Artificer there, as he said, with the Philosophy. But here comes that questing. How big will MrPython be able to make it?
Should get up to 5, I think. He'll play Prep Ambush behind the Wanty. So imagine PWE will answer this with just the twin slice, first twin slice that's blocking the skull.
And there's Polkelt in his 5-mana form.
Yeah, obviously the priority here is killing questing, but you would have loved to have been able to play the Polkelt. Well, I guess it wouldn't have mattered because it costs 5 mana now, so there's never going to be an option to do that.
Demons. Demons.
Yeah, I think
Here's
just
the twin
choosing.
slice.
Yeah, just choosing what to do with the other 2 mana might be the use actually. Well, I guess no, you need 1 more mana for the 5 damage, so I can count sometimes.
Care to make a wager?
Pretty big pickup for MrPython grabbing the Pop Prod.
Yeah, immediately
big
plays
hit.
a Miscreant.
Yeah, cheap Miscreant, play a couple of these minions. Imagine that he's going to go for Pilfer. Yeah, just because it's something that gives him something to do. Your favorite lackey on the board actually opts to go with the
Yeah, interesting.
Foxy Prod instead of the Miscreant. It's almost always an auto pick on the Miscreant, so curious what his thought process was to hit the Foxy instead. Maybe thinking he can Shadow Step the Miscreant later and get a little more value off of it.
I was thinking that, or maybe it keeps it out of the
Immolation Aura.
Immolation Aura a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So the one downside to PWE having the skull on the line this early is that he doesn't actually have the hand space to make this work. So, and not holding Immolation Aura, which would be, as we mentioned, a really good play here, even despite the devolve 3/4. So, curious to see what PWE does here. There's a possibility he just drops Polkelt just to set up the skull for next turn. Problem is, again, that you're still limited by hand size. So, you know, you could potentially see him coin plus one of those 1-drops, either the most likely to consume magic, maybe the Fellscreen Blast, but definitely needs to clear out the space for that skull coming next turn.
And Pilfer gives MrPython a Holy Smite, not the most impactful card in this matchup here. He's going to Shadow Step and see maybe if he can find some burn or something with this Wand Thief. Not so much.
The best options. Myriads you absolutely never take here. You don't want to give your opponent an extra mark by accident. Cram Session's fine. 2-mana draw card.
And draws into the Swindle. Could beef that up a little bit more. Prize Plunderer is at the point now where I believe it can kill that Polkelt.
Give me that. Look what I want.
Which it will. Full board. And PWE needs to do something about it this turn.
Yeah. So the 1-mana spell that I mentioned him casting is probably going to be that Fellscreen Blast, but not being able to, if he chooses not to skull this turn, it means that the Il'gynoth will not be discounted, and I think you can't win if you don't from this position. Win if you don't get the Il'gynoth discounted. But that same token, it kind of makes him want to keep that Fellscreen Blast in his hand, so opts to go with the Consume Magic. And so he will probably get a free I-Beam, maybe a free Eldraki Warblades, a couple potential options that you can play right away just to stay alive. Acrobatics, not great because that fills your hand again. You don't really want to burn a card. You don't want to burn one of those Warblades. So this might just be a I-Beam on the 3/2 here just to save off some of the damage.
Probably has to be, yeah, because right now you're looking at 13 damage plus whatever's in hand.
Yeah, I mean, we can see that MrPython at the moment doesn't have lethal damage, but he has plenty of ways to get there between Secret Passage or potentially Miscreant. If he had board space, most likely the Secret Passage will be the play.
Hovering the I-Beam, opting to use it on the 3/4, and probably going to see a... No.
Yeah, there's nothing else he could do at that point. Shouts up a nice draw, gives him an option to get another shot at burn.
Still didn't
Not
get it.
offered burn. Not a terrible choice here. Other than Portal's fine. A little more pressure. So we'll see if he opts to go with the Secret Passage to try to find and eviscerate the lethal.
first.
Yeah, that's true.
Might as well Swindle first since it's a direct...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess you get a Miscreant first, sure, why not?
Yeah, I think I like Swindling first. And maybe, is he running Eviscerates? Maybe that's part of the equation. He is not. So,
that explains it.
Yep.
Nothing to find.
So it does give a little bit of breathing room to PvE, but again, the positive of Polkelt is getting the deck in the order so that you get your Illdan and otherwise Steel options discounted. However, it puts some of your clears towards the bottom, such as the Blade Dance, and well, I guess Blade Dance is 3, so it would be mixed in if he's running it, and the Immolation Aura. So those options not available to him on this turn. Yeah, there's really a tough spot. He might be forced to play more arcs, and at least a Fellscreen Blast, if not also, I don't know, I guess you can't do both if he plays both more arcs. So there's kind of just doing some quick math here, trying to figure out what the best route is. Starts with Acrobatics. Blade Dance to be useful next turn if he can survive. Now is the best choice running the second Morg out there or doing an I-Beam plus Fellscream?
Gonna opt to Fellscream and use the blades.
So this Underwind Portal essentially pays off, giving MrPython enough damage to end the game.
And there it is, a 2-0 lead as the OTK Demon Hunter is struggling here in the early going of this series.
Yeah, the first game you could definitely say was just a bad start for PWE, and the second game was just a great start for MrPython, just being able to flood the board in a way that PWE couldn't answer. So now left to his Warrior. So I think I wouldn't be shocked to see PWE just run the Demon Hunter out again. The other option would be the Warrior, because I think, like we mentioned, with not the Sticky Fingers, not Cthulhu, the Bomb Warrior is probably favored. Yeah, that makes sense for PWE to take that line. Struggle. Yeah, so one of the things with the ETC in particular is it's running 2 Cutting Class, it's running 2 Battle Rage, 2 Shield Block. So it's got a lot of draw, because the idea for this deck, for the most part, is not what you typically see from a Control/Fatigue type deck. This deck wants to get to its combo ASAP. The problem is the combo deck playing against Bomb Warrior is you're running into bombs being shuffled into your deck. So the more you draw through your deck, the more you're drawing those bombs and keeping your life total low while getting smacked in the face. And he does run Bulwark, so we could see similar protection, especially with the drawing off the Corsair Cache. That's a nice
picks it up right now. Very nice pickup.
MrPython. No bomb weapon yet for PWE, so we'll see if he's able to get that online sooner rather than later. He has all the other tools that you would want. He has the Boom, he has Galvatron, so 2 key cards for winning the Warrior matchup. Just missing that key ingredient of hello, Excalibur,
hey, right on time. Yeah, the Python was starting to get the draw going there while he has no worries about the bombs, but now he's going to start factoring that into the equation, as you said.
So Donde, I'm faced with an ethical dilemma because I have the stream up to the side, and these are coming up with predictions, and the predictions are happening 10 minutes in the past.
Of course, I saw the exact same thing you did.
I feel like I should not be participating in the prediction process while having insider knowledge of how these games are going. So
that is a very good decision on your part as far as the integrity is concerned.
I think I'm a believer in karma, so I don't want to take a bad approach on this one. I don't know how it would affect me in the future, but let's just say I'm happy with making my predictions without the future knowledge that I currently have. Back to the game, MrPython staring down the Excalibur, starting to get a little low in life, but he does have some draw options, and is starting to pick up some pieces of the combo. The problem for him is because this is open list, PWE will know exactly what he's trying to do, and the Bomb Warrior can absolutely win without playing a single minion if he so chooses, just between the weapon swings and the bomb damage. So it's unlikely that the ETC combo is going to come to fruition. He might be relying on Radical War copies similar to what we saw with JR being Yellowdart in that matchup as his win condition.
As I say, PWE can also opt to, even if he does want to play that boom, he can just wait for turn 10, boom, and immediately Bladestorm to get rid of all the bombs to avoid some of the rush difficulties that would arise from leaving that many minions on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think there's two lines of thinking with that. Is Altruist is a nice pickup, not something
it's
that
never gonna live, but it's still fun to think about.
Right. Yeah, two lines of thought with PWE. He could play the boom immediately, just to have it on the board prior to any sort of combo shenanigans, try to lock that damage in, or like you said, wait until later in the game to be able to play it and Bladestorm at the same time. But he opts to go with door number 1 and play it immediately.
Yeah, now is the time to do it before he gets to the turns where he can start to pop off with tons of ETCs. So I do like that now.
Yeah, it almost forces a brawl out from MrPython, which is just not something you really want to do to take all that bomb damage face. No. And he's got a relatively healthy life total with 28. But how many bombs are how much are they gonna hit him for? 4, 2,
6 so far.
1, 3, 4. So a little bit above average.
Yeah,
3 and 4. So certainly starting to get to a precarious position, especially because PWE's next turn is almost certainly going to be Galakrond with a Kronks in hand. So there is a potential for a lot of damage coming from PWE, and really no savior in sight for MrPython. No Rattlegore, not even close to the pieces that he needs for the combo.
And Bulwark is probably going to have to come down here just to keep the game going.
Yeah, definitely. And unlike what we saw with JR having the board at a relatively early point in time, this is coming kind of later in the game. You're already pretty low on life, and PWE is going to be able to chip away at it with the hero power, even before he gets more weapon swings online.
Take Black on the face side.
So I think it makes sense that MrPython's just going to keep drawing, despite the number of bombs in his deck. I don't know that he has much of a choice. He has to get to one of his 2 win conditions before it's too late. And plays a Shield Slam for 0, just to keep his hand from filling up.
Space. No problem with that.
Yeah, because I think just taking a look at his list, he is running only 1 broomstick, so he cannot afford to have that burned off the top. He has to keep his hand at least 1 slot short of being full. He can't keep it full to burn bombs. Plus, burning Rattlegore would obviously be probably game losing as well. So we're seeing a lot of witchy blackies. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a Donde stream.
Yeah, this is what the people come here for.
So all this damage going face. 2 bombs away from death for MrPython. I'm not sure how many he has. 2 left in his deck, so unlikely. But he is drawing quite a bit and still needs to draw more. Has some armor gain options. He has could opt to forego some of the combo, which I think he probably would at this point just to stay alive. I wouldn't be surprised to see a skipper turn coming down now. But I guess if he makes this trade first, then that's not his thinking. So I guess he just wants to be stubborn with either potentially copying Rattlegore or saving those Bloodsworns for the combo.
I was thinking could hit the 1-1 into the 4-2 and Bladestorm to keep your 2-3 alive. Nope, he's going to do it this way instead.
Yeah, I think he's following up with Bulwark and Hero Power. Or maybe Bulwark and Shield Slam. Or Shield Block, excuse me. Hoping to draw a bomb now while he has the protection.
Oh, it worked out perfectly.
It's 1. Yeah. Pretty good. So now he has
that only 1 bomb in deck. That Zephyrs could be active coming up.
I'm trying to see if there's any other duplicates that we haven't seen yet. I think we've seen them all. The only one that we haven't is Battle Rage. Everything else we've seen. So Zephyrs won't be active quite yet, I don't think. But he's only 1 card away for getting that online. Now, I don't know what you're looking for from it just quite yet, but having it active just definitely feels better than seeing it green. So.
Nozdormu is an interesting pick here because it does disrupt the capabilities of the rush combo. One of those again few times where Nozdormu is more than just a minor annoyance with a decent sized body. It could actually very very much decide this game. Oh, and there's that Battle Rage. That's an active Zephyrus.
So this does give, yeah, I was going to say, this is probably what MrPython was waiting for before playing out the Skipper Armorsmith. So, man, it's a tough call. You can't get enough damage without having both Bloodsworns. The question is, do you feel like you have enough armor to survive? So the choice now is Zephyrus. Interesting. I was going to say, you could go ahead and Battle Rage, look for some other minion that you could potentially play. Why not Silas? Why not Radivor?
And
Definitely not a bomb. Although you don't mind drawing the bomb again with the Bulwark up. So, so yeah, so he's getting closer. He's really gonna come down to it. I think it's gonna have to come down to Radivor, I imagine. So.
There's the Penflinger. So the combo itself is now assembled.
Basically everything except the broomstick is the last piece that he needs to give everything rush, and also targets to hit into, which at this point he does not have. And
PWE will be reluctant to provide.
Yeah. So PWE does need to probably get rid of these Armorsmiths. He plays Deathwing here. I think that might lose him the game. The amount of damage the full combo can do is, I think, 36. And right now he's sitting at 33?
About 33.
Yeah. So he opts to go with the non-minion approach. I think essentially recognizing what MrPython's win condition is, but Radivor coming down can change that math pretty significantly. So
yeah, once Radivor shows up, PWE kind of has to work within the constraints of what he's given. You know, he doesn't want to give those minions to be rushed into, but he can't just get hit repeatedly by Radivor over the course of the next few turns.
Yeah, the one answer he has in his deck is the Ironbeak Owl, which is not in his hand. So the question is, can he draw that Owl and deal with this Radivor before the Radivor kills him? And it's going to be close. He might just have to keep hitting face, trying to get through this Bulwark, try to get his weapons online, but really it just comes down to whether he draws the Owl before he dies. I don't know that, again, he can play anything. Depending on the health total, can make a difference, because what will happen is Radivor also will have Rush and do basically 2 extra damage, or even more, depending on how many copies of ETC are on the board. So this is turned very quickly. MrPython making the read that drawing is absolutely critical to his game plan. So looks like he's going to end up copying the Radivor here and relying on that, because I think at this point there's only one answer to Radivor, not 2. And this might just be enough for
I think it will be
MrPython to lock up this series.
Because even a Brawl, I mean, even a Brawl just takes these down to at most an 8 attack minion, right. Which is lethal next turn.
Happy Feast of Wintervale.
And very nice of Garrosh to wish a happy feast.
Season's greetings.
Nozdormu, why not, buddy?
Yeah, so we, both games we talked about how Bomb Warrior can beat the Control Warrior, but in both cases it did not work out that way, and really on the back of this Bulwark of Azeroth just making Bomb Warrior's life miserable. I really like the way MrPython played it, just not concerned whatsoever about the bomb damage, just walking that tightrope between getting through his deck and managing the damage that he was taking just perfectly to give himself the best chance to win. So well played by him, and a very quick 3-0 sweep by MrPython, and a solid week for due process overall.
Yeah, strongly played series there by MrPython. I mean, I don't think PWE played it poorly. He just had a couple unfortunate hand issues with the OTK Demon Hunter. Sometimes just doesn't cooperate, and Python was able to put on enough pressure there to keep moving. And that, yeah, like you said, it's a tough one to take. It's a NPH getting down a little bit early in the season here, but strong showing for due process, a team that surprised a lot of people last season, and weren't sure if they would be able to make it repeat. And right now, it looks like they're going to be a strong team to face here going into what will be week 2 of the pro season. So we can see if Python is available for an interview and get him in here if he would like.
Absolutely.
All right, while we are getting him hopefully in here, just a reminder for everybody who tuned into the tournament today, that is not over. We have ended the standard half of the tournament, but we still have the Battlegrounds tournament with our boy Brushy Tuna is the THL representative tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern on this channel. Tune in as we will have Based Ink and Dragon Rider will be casting that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what a full-fledged Battlegrounds tournament stream looks like for THL. Spoiler, I know what it looks like. I'm part of the setup for that, but it's exciting. It's cool to see that we're branching into more tournament stuff, and I think it'll be a fun one tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a really cool community event, I think organized by Pascal and NoProsHere, that brought together a whole bunch of different kind of ranging between casual and competitive organizations, and just kind of put them all together, let them get exposure to each other, and just basically a great advertisement for all of them. So really happy that it's worked out so well so far, and looking forward to the Battlegrounds tournament tomorrow.
Pascal was involved, but it was actually Julian and Rain of Tierra de Fuegos.
Oh, okay, great.
Tierras de Fuego. There it is.
Good to give credit to the people who deserve it.
Yes, they did a lot of hard work getting everything set up and getting the streams coordinated. So shout out to them for what seemed like a very successful first day of the tournament so far, despite some technical issues on the Spanish-speaking stream side. But glad that we were able to be a part of it. It's definitely a cool thing to join all these different organizations together for tournaments outside of what we normally do, and hopefully there'll be more of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Any word yet from
haven't heard back,
MrPython?
Haven't heard back, and he went offline, so
Fair enough.
might be
Celebrating with his teammates.
It's fine. That's the it makes me feel better that we got JR in here for an interview.
Sure.
Funny, we could bring JR back for an interview for his as the captain of the team. But
I think we've all had enough JR for one.
Oh, I love JR. That's nice. Wait. Oh, he is. He had to hop off HS because he's on mobile. So let me.
Sure. If you do want more JR, you can find him on Hearth Center, or no, Tavern Talk. Excuse me, Tavern Talk every week, going through a preview
Wednesdays.
of all the THL matches on Wednesdays. That's right. He took over your Wednesday spot, Donde. You've moved to Tuesday with the Hearth Center.
I'm actually not on any show right
You're
now.
not on. Why not?
Just getting. There's a lot of people that really want to get involved in content. I want to make sure everybody gets their due. I'm still planning on showing up on shows from time to time. I'll be on Around the Saloon on Monday, this upcoming Monday. So I'll get to argue with people.
Can't wait for Mako to mute you constantly.
I don't like the fact that he's got power over me. That's not something that anyone should be excited
You did sign up for it, so
sure did.
You have only yourself to blame, and it will be entertaining for the rest of us.
All right, I think we're getting him in here. MrPython, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello?
What's up?
There he is. All right, well, congratulations on the win. A quick series there, 3-0. And a big start for the season for Due Process.
Thank you.
So, looks like, obviously, that series there, we had PW struggle a little bit with the OTK Demon Hunter. Was that something that you were concerned with going into the match? You seem to handle it pretty well both games that you played against it.
Well, I know that the OTK Demon Hunter list is pretty difficult to play. I've seen it a bunch on ladder, and I've tried a couple different game plans against it, but I found the best way to kind of attack it was to try and pressure the board in the early turns as much as possible before they can get their poke out into skull plays kind of going. So that's what I did for the Paladin especially, and then the Rogue was able to do it too. Even without an Edwin, I got like a 5/5 questing, but he dealt with that pretty easily.
Yeah, I think we noticed it particularly in the Rogue game, that game plan worked out well for you. In the Paladin game plan, not that your game plan wouldn't have gotten there the way that you played it, but he sort of bricked the order of his draws. He had the Illdan in his opening hand that was keeping a skull that he drew from being activated, and then he wasn't able to get the new skull activated at any point in time. So basically, like whatever chance he had of dealing with that early pressure and then discounting everything was kind of short-circuited by the order of the cards he dropped, which, to your point, makes that deck even more challenging to play than it otherwise is, even when you get everything going perfectly. So, but still well played by you. And that I want to comment on the Warrior game in particular. You know, we had seen a similar matchup in the first series of Control Warrior versus a Bomb Warrior, and noted that the things that kind of make it more favored are, you know, things like Sticky Fingers and sometimes Cthulhu. You did not have either of those, and yet you were able to navigate that extremely well, just essentially ignoring the fact that bombs from your deck and just drawing straight through. So what's the mindset playing that type of matchup into the Bomb Warrior?
Well, that matchup is really unfavored for the ETC Warrior. I think it's close to like 75-25 in favor for the Bomb Warrior. It helped a lot that my opponent didn't draw a lot of their weapon cards. That helped a lot, and I was able to kind of cycle through my deck knowing that I wasn't really under threat. I think there was one turn where he held the like a 4/1 weapon, and at that point I knew he didn't have any Horde Pillagers or Second Wrench Caliber in hand, so I was able to kind of use that to my advantage and draw as much as possible, get to my Rattlegore, and he also didn't have Owl for my Rattlegore, which was huge. Let me copy it twice, and then that led to the win.
Right. Yeah. The problem that Bomb Warrior sometimes runs into there is not having any answer or only having one answer, because that deck typically doesn't run Silas or anything else that can deal with the Rattlegore. So you being able to find it that quickly definitely was a huge factor in winning that game. Obviously, the factor in winning that game. So congratulations and well played series.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I like seeing you shift your priorities there in that Warrior game, knowing, you know, he's not probably going to give me something to play ETC into, and I need to win a different way. That's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, and you did it very, very seamlessly there.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, before we head out for the night, is there anything you'd like to say, you know, as far as your team, as far as your opponent tonight? Take it away.
Yeah, I think I've played AgentPWE before. I think in Hero Series on stream last season. He's a very good player. He's like top 100 legend. So the sweep is not really indicative of his skill level at all. He brought like a very tough deck to play with the OTK Demon Hunter. And as far as my team, a big shout out to Dr. Bomb D. He helped me practice the Paladin versus Bomb Warrior matchup last night, which thankfully I didn't end up queuing into because he absolutely smoked me 4 games in a row with it. But yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for being here, and looking forward to seeing more games this season. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
You too.
All right, Icicles, that's it for us. I had a good time tonight. Two very different series, one much quicker than the others, but overall, a lot of good play, a lot of interesting matchups, and happy we could get all these games on stream.
Sorry if you're a fan of Shaman, it just wasn't your night, so you'll just have to wait through next week.
I have a feeling that you might be saying that more times than just this week this season, unfortunately, for Shaman lovers. Yeah, they are. Thrall is probably persona non grata in most weeks this season.
You know, it's funny. Like, we went through, I don't know, 2 or 3 metas where Shaman was just dumpster and no one wanted to play it, and then now it's good and no one can play it because it's just getting bans. I mean, Thrall just never catches a break.
It's true. That's the life of Thrall. I mean, it is what it is. Maybe we'll see a little mini nerf that brings it in line a little bit, or maybe people find a viable strategy, start targeting it. We'll have to see.
We'll just have to wait and see.
We will. Well, thank you for being here tonight, everybody in chat as well. Thanks to Tuna getting his mod on there and putting up some awesome stuff for channel point usage, and we'll hopefully get more of that in the future. Like I said, make sure to tune in tomorrow for the Battleground stream to support said Tuna. Spam this Luna to support Tuna during the stream, and we will be back with you next week on Saturday, of course, and our shows will be starting back up again on Monday. Around the Saloon is the next one up. So thanks for being here tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed, and we will catch you next week. Have a great night.
Good night.